Hey folks, Rick here. I am out here in the garage. It's early in the morning. This is like 7:30 in the morning. I just got home from work and I'm gonna clay my car. And I got out here, I was about to clay my car. It's been bugging me. Right before I left to go to work last night, I touched my car and I could actually feel the, uh, the fallout in my paint. And the main reason I wanted to do a video today for you guys and girls is to show you that a lot of people think of having to clay their car or clay their truck or clay a vehicle, and they think about how dirty the vehicle is or how dirty it might look, and they think, oh, okay, you know, you can't go by how your car looks always to determine whether you need to clay it. And I mean, my car is probably locally to me is probably one of the better looking cars on the road. As far as a factory paint job and just keeping it detailed. Maybe not the best color or whatever, but as far as just cleanliness, keeping it out of the elements, keeping it garaged, and keeping it up. And um, and with that being said, you can't just look at all these paints and all these cars. You can't just look at them and say, hey, this thing needs to be painted, or this thing needs to be clayed, or or needs to be clay mit or whatever. So I know it's kind of frowned upon within the community to go hands on with your paint and put your hands on your paint. The community or people in our industry love to just tell you, hey, if you touch your paint, you're going to scratch it. Anytime you move your hands across the paint, you're going to scratch it. And, in a sense, that's true. I mean, but sometimes you have to go hands on with your paint to inspect it and check it and everything else. And with that being said, using that piece of plastic, and I got this baggie here for an example, using a piece of plastic, probably the best piece of plastic you can use that you can just buy or get your hands on is either saran wrap or your cigarette packages wrapping. But basically, you can use one of these baggies here, and you can put your hand over the baggie and kind of just run it down the paint. And the baggie itself works kind of like it kind of like magnifies your fingertips. It magnifies the way it feels, and it's actually better to do it with gloves, without gloves. And some people prefer to actually clay the car without gloves on, which is fine too. Uh, but you can actually just run your fingers down your paint like this, and the um, you can feel the fallout and stuff that's embedded in the paint, and you can see how nice and clean this paint looks and appears to be as far as the gloss and everything else. But it's definitely got some impurities and some fallout in the paint. And this is the panel. This is actually part of the car that I touched last night, right before I was out walking up the garage, and it probably ran my hand down about maybe 3 or 4 inches of the car. I could feel it underneath my fingertips, and I'm like, oh, I got to check this out in the morning. But yeah, I can promise you, I'm doing very little damage to this paint just by doing this. And of course, once I get the clay out, I mean, I'm gonna be doing a lot more than that with the clay. So, but I can feel all that fallout, brake dust, and whatever road grime just embedded in that paint. It's just, I mean, you can just feel it. Now I could feel it now. Like I said last night when I was about to walk out, I could feel it underneath my fingertips. That's what got me. I was thinking about it all night at work. What I need to do when I come home. Now I don't plan on getting out here today and doing this entire car today. But one good thing about keeping the car in the garage here and just having the time to do it and having it in an enclosed environment is I can attack one spot, one place at a time. I can attack the spoiler and take my time. Spend an hour on this thing if I wanted to. Not that I would, and really make sure I just take care of it. Work around the edges here. Same thing with with this entire panel or the lower part of the car here. I mean, I can just attack this area. I don't have to worry about the elements. I don't have to worry about, the sun and stuff like that, and just the environment. I can just take my time. Now, I set some of this stuff here out just to kind of show you things you can use to go ahead and clay your car. Of course, you got a sponge here, a clay sponge, and these are becoming real popular. They have, clay mitts, clay sponges, clay towels, and the way they work is they have a rubber part here, surface that's attached to the sponge that mimics a clay bar, and it grabs the fallout like a clay bar would do. But the same thing with this applies to. This works just like a clay bar. You have to keep it lubricated, and this is the stuff I'm going to talk to you about here in a second. But you have to keep it lubricated. You don't want to mar your paint. You don't definitely want anything without lubricating the panel or lubricating the surface of this here. So now that I know that, I've used this bag and I've checked the paint and I know it needs it. And see, I'm one of these. If this panel needs it here, the entire car needs it. Now, some people would argue that. And of course, I could go and take my bag and check every panel, check every surface, and just do it, and just, okay, well, this is a 10 out of a, or 7 out of a 10 or something like that. But what I want to do is I'll take, now that I know that part of my car needs it, then as far as I'm concerned, that my entire car needs to be at least decontaminated to a point. So what I'll do is I'll take this, or I'll take my clay bar, and this is the clay bar here. This is McGuire's clay bar, and it comes in a kit. This here does. It comes in a kit with 2 bars. I gave 1 bar away. I had a friend of mine that never had used a clay bar before. I gave him the lube that came with the kit, and 1 bar, so he could use it and practice stuff like that with his car. Because I knew I didn't need the lube, because I had plenty here, and of course I kept the clay bar. So some people like using clay bars without gloves, and some people like using them with gloves. The thing with the gloves, to me, is once you start working it into the paint and you press it against paint, it's almost like this thing sticks to the glove a lot better, and you don't have to worry about dropping it. And some people say it molds better to their hands when they don't have the gloves on. It's all personal preference. As long as you keep it kneaded, and as long as you keep it, keep rotating the bar. Don't drop it. If you drop it, discard it. Throw it completely away. The sponge. Once you start working it up and down the panel, then you just need to keep it clean. You just need to keep rinsing it off. Either get you some water in a spray bottle or whatever. Just keep it, or have you a bucket, like your 2-bucket wash, one of your 2-bucket washes. Wash buckets out, and just so you can rinse the thing off. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to attack the panels today, or this panel today, with this, and just to see how it works. I've used it before, but to me, I don't have any scientific proof here. I'm just going off, my personal experience here. To me, this is more aggressive on my paint than this. As long as I keep them lubricated. If I keep both of them lubricated, this is a little bit more aggressive. Now, it's a little bit more aggressive as far as taking off the fallout. And it's also more aggressive, in my opinion, as far as scratching the paint too, or whatever, So what I'll do is I'll run over my panel with this. I'll spray it down with some lubricant. Whatever, I'm gonna go over these here in a second. Spray this down with some lubricant, and I'll go over the panel. If I find part of the panel that's got a lot of fallout, a lot of just, one area that's got a lot, then I'll break out my clay and just work it. The good thing about clay, or even using the pad, is it'll feel rough. It'll catch a little as you're going over the panel, and as it pulls the fallout out of the clear coat, it gets a lot smoother. That's how you know and you can move on to a different location, different spot. And both of them are effective. Both of these are probably just as effective. It's just personal preference. I just feel like I can knock out the panel quicker with this, as long as it's not, doesn't have a lot. So what I'm gonna do here is I got my Eco, I've got my O&R, and I've got my Wolfgang, and I got my keys. Any of these will work. Now, of course, I got my wire synthetic express spray wax, so I can use any of these on the panel and get great results. So thanks for tuning in, guys.